Mazda, but I just, you know, I wanted something. This was something for me, right? Like, so, anyhow, yeah. So, um, just a few days before I went to go get, or just not too long after, I said to myself, you know what? Let me go through the list again and check what other cars they have. And I was going through the list, and then that's when I came across Subaru, and I said, you know what? I haven't even checked Subaru. Dang, why didn't it never occur to me? Let me check Subaru, right? So I clicked Subaru and I looked it up, and I said, okay, well, they only have these cars. I don't know if they have anything in manual. And I said, oh, I was going through the list. I was like, oh, okay. The only cars they have in manual are the WRX, the STI, and the BRZ. Now the BRZ is a two-door, which I'm not gonna get because my insurance is gonna skyrocket. So I'm gonna it's either the WRX or the STI. And truth be told, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with it. It was exactly what I wanted. I saw myself in a WRX and in an STI. It was everything I wanted. It was a 6-speed manual. It was the engine was turbocharged. It was a sports car, well, sports model car, and it was everything that I wanted. And the question was which one I was gonna get. Am I gonna go for the WRX or am I gonna go for the STI? Now, here's the thing, okay? I didn't go for the STI, and I'll tell you why. Because the STI was plain and simple, a little bit off my budget. Truth be told, it is. I'm not gonna lie. It was a little bit off my budget. So I didn't go with the STI, so instead I went for WRX. Now, and I remember the date when I got my WRX, I said to myself, you know what? The STI will definitely be my next car. And till today, I haven't changed my mind. And I'm the kind of person that once my mind is made up, I'm not gonna change it. And I knew when I got my WRX, I said, you know what? My next car will be the STI. For sure, hands down. Spoiler wing and everything. And then after my third car will be most likely the Type R, the Honda Civic Type R. And again, till today, I have not changed my mind. My mind is like literally made up. My second car will be the STI, and then my third car will be the Honda Civic Type R. I'm not like there's no changing my mind in that. But yeah, so at that time I said I knew this is the WRX. I'm gonna get it. Now, keep in mind, I was so focused on getting my WRX, okay, that I did not take any lessons on how to drive stick shift. I was so concerned about getting my WRX that it didn't occur to me that I'm supposed to take lessons on how to drive stick because I wanted the car in stick shift. So I went on YouTube. Couple months before I got my car, I went on YouTube. I went, I watched a shitload of videos on how to drive stick shift, and I was really confident. And what's so funny about it is that my confidence at that time led to my embarrassment. Because I was so confident that I can drive stick shift just by learning on YouTube that when I got my car, I embarrassed the shit out of myself. I'm not gonna lie. This is what it is. True story. This was a lesson I learned the hard way, you know? And I remember when I went to go get my car, my dad was saying, you know what, let me bring my friend so he can drive your car home. Because if you have no idea how to drive stick shift, you haven't taken any lessons or anything, okay? You have no experience on how to drive stick shift. So if you were to drive the car home, you would stall. I guarantee you will stall out like crazy. You would stall out like crazy. Hell, you would even make it out of the driveway and onto the main road. And at that time, I was being such a jerk about it And not only was I a jerk about it, I was like so fucking cocky too. Like, I was like, you know what? I got this. I'm like, why you guys worrying? Like, I got this, right? And I was so cocky, and I was such a fucking jerk about it, that, you know what? It led to my ultimate embarrassment when I bought the car home. And that ultimate embarrassment was I stalled out. I stalled out right outside on my driveway. And I'm not talking about once or twice. I'm talking about at least 30, 40 times I fucking stalled out. Okay, there was a point where I even stalled out when I bought my car. I took it around the block. My dad's friend was sitting right beside me because he knows how to drive stick shift. So he was sitting right beside me, and I took it around the block, right? And there was a two-way street. Okay, there was a stop sign, and after that stop sign there was a two-way street, and because there was a stop sign, I stopped, and I put it in first gear, and I'm getting ready to go, and I fucking stalled out, and I started it again, I stalled out, started again, I stalled, and before I knew it, my car was stalled out right in the fucking two-way street. Okay, and I had a car behind me, I had a car coming from my left, I had a car coming from my right. They all stopped, and they were all honking the shit out of me. Like, they were like, beep, 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 you know, I learned to fucking drive, you know, and I'm giving them the hand gesture, like, 1 minute, give me a minute, I'm gonna do this, right? And the driver behind me got even pissed off at me even more, because he thought I was giving him the finger, but in fact, I was giving him the hand gesture, just give me a second hand gesture, you know, like, I'm gonna move, right? And it was so bad that my dad's friend was like, okay, you know what? Get out of the driver's seat, I'm gonna drive it home. And we had to switch seats in the middle of the road, switch seats, okay? And he had to drive it home. And I remember when I sat in the front seat of my car, my face was red. I was so embarrassed. I was just like, what the fuck just happened? And I came home that night, and my parents were like, hey, you know what? You're not driving your car. You know what you're gonna do? You're gonna learn how to drive stick shift. You're gonna learn the proper way how to drive stick shift. I don't care how you do it. Okay? You're gonna take lessons on how to drive stick shift, and then and only then will you be able to drive this car. You're not driving your car unless you learn how to drive stick shift. And I was like, and at that time I was such a jerk about it too. I was just like, you can't make me, you know, not drive my car. It's my car. I bought it, right? And they're like, I don't care if you bought it, right? I'm telling you, you're not driving your car unless you learn how to drive stick shift. Unless you take lessons on how to drive stick shift. Don't argue with me, right? So it was on that day I realized that, you know what, I shouldn't have been too cocky. I shouldn't have been too confident. And one of the things I learned on that day was there's a difference between watching something on YouTube, like watching something on YouTube and trying to learn it, and actually experience it and do it in real life. Like, that's the hard lesson I learned. There's a difference between learning how to drive stick shift through YouTube and actually sitting and actually doing it. And because I had no experience doing it, I watched just all the tutorial videos. I thought, you know what, I'm gonna get so confident, and I got overconfident, and well, as you can see, led to my ultimate embarrassment, as I like to call it. I remember first time I bought this car home, I tried to reverse out of my driveway. It took me fucking 10 minutes to reverse, and I was like, why am I putting in reverse? And it keeps stalling out, and I realized that, you know what, my handbrake was on, and it took me 10 minutes to realize my handbrake was on. I didn't, and I was like, okay, my bad, right? But can you blame me back then? You know, I was a noob. Okay, I was a newbie. All right, I had no idea. I had no experience how to drive stick shift. So, you know, but you know what? It was a lesson. I'm glad it happened in a way because it was a learning experience for me. Was it embarrassing? Hell yeah, it was fucking embarrassing, man. But you know what? I I I learned from it, and it was a hard lesson for me. And that lesson I learned, I learned the hard way. Like, you know what? There's a difference between learning something on YouTube and actually doing it. You know, and so yeah. And what happened was I had to take lessons, and you know, so fast forward now, it's going to be a year. Well, it's going to be almost a year. The August will actually be a year since I started learning how to drive stick shift. Because I started learning last year in August. Um, so I've been driving stick shift now for almost a year. Um, and it's getting after a year, it gets it gets more simple. When you've been driving stick shift, yeah, I mean, when you learn how to drive stick shift in the beginning, it gets really challenging, right? Obviously, you know, first gear is always the hardest gear to start off in. You know, that's where people have the most trouble. That's where people tend to stall out more. But the more you do it repetitively, you know, it gets more simple. It gets more easier. And me having been doing it for almost a year now, it does get simple. Do I still stall out? Rarely. You know, I stall out less and less now. Little to, you know, before in the beginning, I used to stall out. I used to stall out a lot, but now that I've been doing it for almost a year, really rare. You know, little to no stalling at all. Um, which is what you want, right? Which is what you want, right? That's the whole point of driving stick shift, right? It's to not fucking stall out, right? Because when you stall out, you're gonna have people honking at you. I know this firsthand, right? Um, but yeah, so that's just a little backstory of how I got my car. Um, I I remember when I went to the dealership, they were saying that if you want, if you don't want to wait to get your car, you can get our 2016 pre-owned WRX. But I made the decision to wait it out until they delivered the car, and it took almost like a fucking 3 weeks. Was it three? Wait, was it 3 weeks or was it almost? Yeah, 3 weeks to almost a month, or a little over a month, to have the car delivered to the dealership, and then I had to go to the dealership to pick it up. And like I said, at that time I had no experience on how to drive stick shift, so my dad had to invite his friend. I was being cocky about it. I was being a jerk about it, but at the end of the day, I realized, you know what? I'm glad that my dad's friend was able to come and drive my car home, because if he hadn't, I would have stalled out like crazy. I wouldn't have even made it out of the driveway and onto the road. True story, not gonna lie. Um, but yeah, so this is what it is. So this I just thought maybe, you know what, this is just a little backstory, um, of my of how I ended up getting this car. Um, is it fun? Yeah, it's fun. It's fun, really, it is. Am I enjoying it? Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Um, you know, I got my, I don't know if you guys can see it there, but I have I got my set of winter tires there, because here in, here in the north, we have winter, so you gotta put those winter tires on, when the time comes. But yeah, I'm having fun with this car. I love it. It was I have no regrets. It was the best decision I've ever made. Um, like I said, if I had gotten the Mazda, at that time, I would have regretted it. I really would. But yeah, I'm just grateful and thankful that, you know what, I I that I was able to afford this car. Um, I'm grateful and thankful every day that, you know what, I was able to afford this car. Um, and every time I look at this car, I just think about how my hard work really paid off. And it really has. I did put a lot of hard work into saving up for this car, and I just sitting in here and looking at it, and it just brings back the one memory, which is my hard work, how much hard work that I had to put to get this car. And I'm so happy for myself that, you know what, I'm so proud of myself that I was able to do it, you know. And this is what this video is all about. I'm sorry for all the rambling, but I just wanted to come out here and just make this video just because it's my 1 year anniversary since I got this car. And I thought, what better way to do it than to just give you guys a little tour about inside, and just a little backstory about how I got this car. And you know um and yeah, I mean, this is what it is, so this is happy 1 year anniversary to my car. And um hopefully this will last me many years to come before I trade it in for a WRX STI. uh and yeah, so that's it for this video. I hope you guys have a good weekend. And it's kind of cloudy outside. Hopefully it's not gonna rain. But if it's sunny in your area, um, wherever you guys are, if it's sunny in your area, go out, enjoy the weather. Here, it's shitty. Like the sun's not out. It's fucking cloudy. Looks like it's gonna rain again. But yeah. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. If it's sunny in your area, enjoy the weather. And and this is me signing off. Cheers.